going on, family? It's your boy Matteo J. Welcome back to Matteo J Presents. This video is coming to you, as you can expect, during a crazy time in my life in the world right now. And I just really want this video to serve as a check-in for me to be able to share what have my thoughts been like, what have these last 2 months been like for me. I've been holding in a lot, not knowing how to communicate it or if it's even worth talking about. And I just want to be able to share my experience with you. So when this all first went down, my immediate first reaction was go home, and not where I was living, but go to my family. We are a family that cares deeply for each other, even if we don't always know how to show it. And I didn't want them worrying about me. And in turn, I didn't want to be worrying about them. Not knowing how long this was going to last, right? Because at first it was just 2 weeks. And I'm like, oh, 2 weeks, I can go and do that with my family. And 2 months later, I'm still here. You can tell by the background possibly. And it's been interesting. We've been able to connect. I think before this, I wasn't as connected with my family. Living on my own, I might have lost sight of how important it is to be with family. And I was probably coming here once a week, if that was enough, and wasn't even here for that long. Being here now, I can see like the bonds reforming and see what I was missing out before. So when this is all done, because it will come to an end, I will definitely be sure to maintain this relationship and this bond with my family, whether they like it or not. Might take a small little break, small, just a little one, because I feel like we driving each other crazy. But that was definitely like my first thought process. Once that faded, it was now, what is work gonna look like? I'm an educator. How's learning going to look? And that was difficult for me to navigate because I wasn't necessarily okay with the way that my job was handling remote learning at first. And still am not all the way 100%, but the reality is we're doing the best that we can with what we know. And I was able to really jump in as a leader and support not only my students, but my peers, my colleagues. This was a difficult time for all of us. And I was clear that I had skill sets and just the leadership, the motivation, the joy, the love to support everybody. I was able to spread it around. And I was happy to be able to do that. And it really showed how leader ready I am. And so in turn, I had interviewed for a position before all of this happened, and I officially have gotten the position stepping into school leadership. And I'm excited that I get to really step into my power completely, but also be recognized for my leadership and how much I show up for my students, for our families, and for my peers. I really do show up because I just care that deeply. And so as we start to end the school year, I'm now thinking, what is next year going to look like? Because the reality is, whether we're doing remote learning or we're going back into the school, it's going to be a new reality for us all. And how do I get to show up as a leader to assure that this new reality supports everybody in some type of way, if that makes sense? Assures that our educators are taken care of, safety, mental health, all of that good stuff, making sure that they're cared for 100%. How do we make sure our students are cared for, their safety, their mental health, their well-being? How do we make sure our families are taken care of? And I'm excited to embark on that journey because I'm clear that that's my purpose on this planet, is to love people through situations like this. And I think the biggest thing for me was I went through this phase of survivor's guilt. I had guilt because all these people were suffering. Either they were losing their lives or they knew people that were losing lives, and I wasn't personally impacted in any type of way. And I'm grateful to God for that. But with that came survivor's guilt, which is why it took me so long to share. Like, do I have the right to say anything? I still have my income. I still have my family. I still have my health. And there are people around me who are losing so much. And that guilt was eating me alive. And it wasn't allowing me to really process how I was feeling about it. And the reality is, I've gained anxiety with going outside. I avoid outside at all costs. Where my mom will go outside to go food shopping or do whatever, I would avoid it. I spent hundreds, I would even say possibly thousands, close to thousands of dollars on food being ordered and delivered because I did not want to go outside. And to know that I was living with that for so long, now I'm just like, damn, I wish I would have said something. But again, that survivor's guilt was so real. How do I speak up about, I don't want to go outside, when there are people who have to go outside? That's their job. There are people who are losing their lives because they're forced to go outside. But that's still my reality, and I still get to share that. I still get to experience my experience and communicate that to people because I know there are people who are just like me. But the blessing in all of this is during this time, I've grown really closer to my family, like I've said, but I've also grown really closer to God. I'm in prayer every day. I'm kneeling before him. I'm honoring him. I'm praising him. I'm praying for others. I'm praying for myself. And the relationship I have with God has grown so strong that I find myself in prayer consistently, and I find my prayer getting stronger, and I find I'm someone that people come to now for prayer, and that's a blessing for me. It's something that I've been seeking for so long, and the reality is sometimes God has to make room in your life when you're not making room for him. And he literally took away almost everything from my life and made room for himself. And I'm seeing the payoffs and the benefits, and I'm seeing that the way I interact with people is different. The way I feel about life is different. There's so much gratitude that I now have for every little thing on this planet. And I'm just grateful that in the midst of the storm, I'm still able to keep my eye on God, and we're able to grow close. And I'm excited for how he's going to use me during this time, and for the rest of my life. So ultimately, what I'm getting from this experience, like I said, is gratitude, connection, how important it is to really connect with people regardless of how far that they may be, because now that we're social distancing, the only option we do have is to connect from a distance. And I'm learning how important it is to really just honor your truth. Experience your experience. You're allowed to experience whatever it is that's going on with you. Society may make you feel like by the end of this, you need to have a business, you need to have made money, you need to be clear on what you want to do. The reality is by the end of this, you need to have your life. You need to be alive. You need to be ready to return to the world, yes, but at your own pace. The only thing you need to do right now is live. Live. And my push and my offer to people is stop trying to make people feel like they need to do anything during this time. It's not the reality. People are struggling. Mental health, they're physical, they're spiritual, they're emotional. Like they're in a very dark place, and you trying to make them feel like, oh, you should be using this time. That's not the reality. All we need to do during this time is to live. Not survive, not thrive, just live. All right, family, want to keep this video short and sweet. Thank you so much for the love and support. Thank you for everyone who's been checking on me during this time. Thank you for everyone who has been praying for me during this time. I love you all. I am praying for you all. Protection, good health, and high spirits. I love you, and I will talk to you later. Love you, family.